introductions. Your name is Laura Thomas, and you run the website happysugarhabits.com
Yeah.
and mentormeoffsugar.com.
Yeah.
You are a previous sugar addict, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And you're now awesome at controlling your sugar addiction, which you no longer have, obviously, and help others to achieve the same. How does it feel to be interviewed on Corporate Warrior?
Yeah, very excited. Looking forward to answering your questions for sure.
Good stuff. Well, thank you for your time this evening. So, tell us, just I guess for the listeners' benefit, tell us a little bit more about your site, what it is you're trying to achieve, and what it's all about.
Okay, so Happy Sugar Habits started when I was personally finding a lot more about sugar myself, and just kind of becoming more aware of it a couple of years ago, back in 2012. And so I started just blogging about what products had the lowest sugar content in them, because I was finding that information wasn't really found anywhere else on the internet, and I was spending hours in the supermarket looking at muesli and granolas and cereal bars, analysing all the different sugar content, because it was something that I was looking at that time. And yes, I started just writing about it. So that's how the kind of website started. And then as people became kind of interested in it, and started kind of signing up and following me, I realised that actually a lot of people do struggle with sugar in lots of different ways, and actually sugar addiction is a much more common thing than I realised. It wasn't really just me. There were lots of other people that had unhealthy relationships with sugar. So I continued to blog. I developed very much like kind of the content that I was writing, and started writing articles that people were asking me for, and kind of got better actually at writing more informative articles for people. And then I decided to develop a actual course based on my own experience and detox experience of weaning myself off sugar and trying various different things. So I built a 6-week program called Mentor Me Off Sugar, which is a like week by week course, which kind of has strategies around what to eat on different weeks, with fruit consumption, with fat consumption and everything, to basically reduce your cravings for sugar, so that by the time you come out, you physically, your taste buds have changed and you're craving sugar less than before. So that is, in a snapshot,
awesome.
what kind of Happy Sugar Habits and Mentor Me of Sugar is.
Cool. That's awesome. So tell us a little bit more about the kind of long-term aspirations, like what it is, where are you heading towards on this?
So I really want Mentor Me of Sugar to kind of be a very supportive and nurturing, kind program to people who are facing a problem with their relationship with sugar. And so, I want it to be able to really reach out to as many people with this problem as possible and help them. So I obviously want, to get Mental Me of Sugar, the course, out there as much as possible. I then have got a book, kind of long term. I've got a book in me that I want to write to get the message out there to even more people. And ideally, I've got my radio show. I've got a radio show with UK Health Radio, which is great for getting my message out. So really, my long-term vision is to help all the people out there that don't feel they have control over sugar get control over sugar.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a massive issue, and it's enormously addictive. Me personally, I do limit the sugar in my diet. Obviously, I'm fairly health conscious with my business in mind. But I, for instance, I can't have a cup of tea without a spoon of brown sugar in it.
Right.
And that's like my fix, I'd say, for the day. It's if I don't have that, I can actually feel like a real craving for it. I mean, what's your view on the sugar kind of issue we've got right now in terms of the amount of refined sugar in the Western diet?
So I mean, at the moment, it's obscene. It's in so many things, and there's the sugar that obviously people aren't aware of, which you get in salad dressings, soups, lots of processed packaged foods, even bread, stir fry sauces. You know, there's lots of hidden sugar, but there's also a big issue, I think, with products that we've grown to know as healthy, and which are marketed as healthy foods. So healthy mueslis, healthy granola bars, um,
Right.
you know, healthy drinks, healthy smoothies, which actually, you know, are healthier than a Coke, maybe, but have a lot of sugar in them. And if you're adding that kind of sugar to all the other sugar in your diet, plus confectionery, it's just a massive amount.
Yeah.
Um,
Can you give us any examples you feel comfortable? Any particular ones?
for what, in terms of how much?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, like products that you think, oh,
So,
but you know. So I'll say innocent smoothies. You
yeah.
know, as always one I'm a little bit like, it's been pasteurized. You know, it looks really healthy, but you know, the products like that. What's your view?
Yeah, I mean, an innocent smoothie, like, can pack in, you know, about 45 grams of sugar,
Really?
which, yeah, is over 10 teaspoons.
Is that like fructose, like natural sugar, or is that
That's natural sugar, it's fructose, but it's
right?
still metabolized. Fructose is that
Yeah, sure.
dangerous sugar for your liver, and that's the one that's addictive, and that's the one that's metabolized differently in your body, and which causes to kind of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So
Okay.
you have to tally up your total fructose in a day. So yeah, a couple of portions of fruit is fine. A smoothie plus a Coke plus, you know, a stir fry sauce plus a yogurt, a fruity yogurt, you know, that's too much sugar.
It's funny because people would never think that, would they?
Yeah, and so you have to think of like your total amount in the day, because that's how much you're putting, you know, your liver under that kind of strain from the excess fructose. Our bodies weren't designed to have more than a little bit of fructose a day, i.e.
Yeah.
few portions of fruit. A smoothie, you've got all the fibre ripped out, so you can just down massive amount of fruit in one portion. I mean, you look at the ingredients of the smoothie, it's got like, you know, 5 apples, 3 bananas.
Yeah.
So you'd have never been able to consume that much fruit if you're just picking it off a bush and eating it straight out.
Yeah. It's funny because so many people, even health freaks and fitness fanatics, will have a fruit smoothie in the morning. I guess it's, you know, if they train a lot, do a lot of exercise, so perhaps they're not affected by the amount of sugar, so they put on the body fat, etc.
Yeah, yeah. If you're training, you know, the fruit is okay to refuel. It's a good quick source of natural sugar that can
Yeah.
refuel your body. But you know, there are also other things you can refuel that aren't fructose. So you don't need to kind of completely overdose on fructose to refuel. There's
Yeah.
lots of other foods that you can refuel on. Like, you know, good like things like sweet potato, and you know, there's other nutritious foods
Yeah.
that you can eat, nut butters and things.
Yeah. I had that like protein producers like ketones, which when you haven't got a lot of carbohydrates, protein actually provides the fuel a lot of the time, which is another way of kind of filling that hole, I suppose. Do you know much?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
fat, you know, so one thing that was really big for me in the transition from like a kind of high in sugar diet was bringing in more fat into my diet. Because
Right.
we've grown up in this low fat, you know, commercially like marketed low fat couple of decades really, um, where low fat and low calories is seen as being the healthy option, and actually now saturated fat and the fact that it's, you know, we were told it's bad for us is now completely under question. You know, if you've seen the news recently, literally last week there was another article about saturated fat,
Yeah.
another study that came out saying they don't actually think saturated fat does cause heart disease now, and it's now excess carbohydrates and sugars.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've always believed that. Well, say for the last kind of 10 years or so,
Yeah.
and it's cool to see lots of studies and literature surfacing to reinforce that fact. And because a lot of a lot of that stuff saying that, you know, eating a lot of fat in your diet was causing heart disease and stuff like that is predicated on studies done almost 100 years ago,
Yeah.
which are so out of date and so biased. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
it's
one
good.
particular study, you know, where Ansel Keys kind of propelled, when you actually look deeper at the study, I went back and kind of looked deeper at the study, there's countries omitted from the results, there's a number of limitations, and it's really not the clear kind of study that should have spurred this whole 3 decades of low-fat food that we've seen.
So why is sugar so addictive?
So fructose is the addictive part of sugar. So that is the sweet part of sugar. So when you've got like fine sugar, like this brown sugar that you put in your tea, for example, that's half made up of glucose and half made up of fructose. It's 50-50. And it's the fructose part which is the sweet tasting part of sugar. And it triggers that kind of dopamine response in your brain and makes you want to eat more and more of it, and it makes you feel good. And that is really because when we were kind of cavemen and back in the day, like if we came across sugar, because it was so rare, we were actually like encouraged to try and eat as much of it to kind of store it, as a good source of energy to store on it, because you didn't come across it that often. So it is naturally, it tastes really nice, and it's got that addictive quality, and it has that kind of effect on our brains, which is why it's so addictive.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are from your point of view, what are the main negatives about sugar consumption and excessive consumption of sugar?
I think, for me, the people I work with, and definitely for myself, I think one of the most negative things of sugar is when you are falling into that unhealthy relationship with it, and you are falling into that kind of more addiction side, and where you feel like you're losing control. So if sugar is starting to affect someone's behaviour, they're starting to feel anxious if they don't have it in a day, it's starting to maybe affect their behaviour at when they're out socially, or they're losing control, around family members, or they don't feel like they start to panic without it. I think that's where it can become very dangerous emotionally. It's also got numerous kind of other benefits to your, physical body. It gives you a foggy mind. People who wake up quite groggy in the morning, that's really triggered by sugar. It affects your immune system. When you eat sugar, your body, because it's having to process the sugar, is using up all the other nutrients that you're feeding it with, maybe your fruit and vegetables, because it's trying to actually process the sugar. So there's lots and lots of things that it does to you. The excess fructose can contribute to like excess uric acid. It can create excess fatty acids in your blood. There's absolutely loads. I could be here all day answering that question.
I guess it's one of those things where we all know it's bad, but it's nice to hear a little bit about the actual effects, and probably it's much worse than people really realise, which is the truth. So what are the key strategies you teach people to reduce their intake? What are kind of some top tips?
So really, I get people to kind of look. It very much depends on what the people want. So, if someone really wants to change their taste buds and reduce their cravings for sugar, then I obviously encourage them to go on a fructose detox, and that involves restricting fruit for a period of time, because literally getting that fructose out of your taste buds, you will notice them like change, and your sensitivity to fructose increases, and therefore you need less to satisfy you. So, if you were to go on a fructose detox for a period of time, you could put in a tiny bit of sugar into your tea and it would still taste as sweet, because your taste buds would have adjusted. So that is one of the main strategies I do if someone wants to reduce their cravings. The other strategies that I work with on people to address the kind of emotional and the social sides of dealing with reducing sugar intake. So obviously, once you know what to eat, once you reduce your taste buds, that's all well and good. But for many people, the attachment to sugar is emotional. So, sugar might have been something you've grown up with. It might be something you eat socially, and something that you really attribute to kind of happy social situations. it also just might be part of life where it's what your friends do every Friday, or, you go out for coffee and cake on the weekend, or after a workout you go and, go to get a chocolate milkshake or something. It could be part of like a ritual and part of your life. So other strategies I do in my program are all around creating and changing your habits and permanently like dealing with social situations and things like that.
Okay. So any tips on? I'm assuming when you say go out, you want to perhaps suggesting when you go out and have drinks with friends.
Yeah.
What would you do in that scenario?
So, well, like kind of drinking alcohol.
Yeah. Or well, I'm assuming alcohol. Is there alcohol got sugar in it?
So
Like beer?
that's a question in itself. So obviously I recommend like lower sugar alcoholic drinks like a vodka, soda, and fresh lime. Has pretty very very little fructose in it, compared to a vodka and orange juice, which is packed full of sugar. And then again, like obviously, so just knowing which drinks to drink that are much lower sugar than others will help you. But also just building your confidence. So, your willpower is like a muscle. And if you're used to kind of going out and just eating things because everyone else did, or kind of giving into peer pressure, just actually practicing strengthening your kind of no thanks, I'm okay, I don't need dessert willpower muscle is actually like a very good tactic. And once you do that 10 times and you kind of say no to dessert 10 times, you actually then like kind of build in the habit, and you'll actually start craving the kind of satisfaction of not having desserts. So it's really interesting when you commit to doing something, and you've got the willpower and you've got the effort and you put that in, how you can actually change your habits, psychology, and how you feel in these situations around sugar.
Yeah, I massively agree with that. The character building aspect of demonstrating discipline in those sort of situations is very challenging. I know very few people who could go on a night out and not have a drink and be able to enjoy themselves, because, like you say, it's habitual, it's ritualised that they have a drink and they associate that with being happy and having fun. And as soon as you stop doing that, you really have to start kind of cultivating that happiness in a different way.
Yeah.
So it's like a crutch. Cool. Okay. So anything else in terms of tips?
So top tips in terms of reducing your sugar intake: stop drinking it. Like any drinks, any sports drinks, any Cokes, any artificial drinks, all of those are a really, really quick, easy way to get a lot of sugar out of your diet quickly. Another one of my tips is to start off with savoury breakfasts. So lots and lots of people eat, granolas or mueslis or cereals or yogurt with fruit for breakfast. And actually, if you start your taste buds off first thing in the day with something like scrambled eggs and avocado, or a savoury breakfast of some sort, even leftovers from dinner, with protein and vegetables and things in them, you will just set your taste buds off in the right way and balance your blood sugar from the minute you wake up, which is really, really important. So that's obviously something that I would say really, really helps with sugar cravings. Finding alternatives like snacks. So I recommend things like coconut water, coconut flakes, which are naturally sweet but low in fructose. Again, natural yogurt. There are still sweet things out there that you can enjoy that don't kind of tally up on your fructose count.
Yeah. And I say, do you? I guess you've probably got articles that go into these in much more detail on the website and list these sort of foods. Yeah. Okay. Cool. We can talk about that at the end. Cool. Okay. So, what about tips in terms of one of the most challenging things with doing these kinds of strategies is motivation, which I'm assuming might not always have to do with sugar itself. It's more sort of mind talk and your attitude towards your health and diet and stuff. So do you have any tips for sort of motivation, how to motivate people?
How can people...
Yeah, how people can stay motivated?
So it's really important to kind of, what I say to my clients I work one-on-one with is write down like your 3 reasons, like in a diary or on your iPhone or on a note somewhere, of why you want to do this. Because you will get a couple of weeks in and you'll be like, why am I doing this? Everyone else is out there enjoying sugar. Everyone else is having a good time. Why am I doing this again? It's a classic. I've felt it many times myself, and I know my clients go through it at various points. So it's really important to write out your 3 main reasons, whether you're doing it to, help inspire your family, whether you're doing it for your long-term health, to prevent diseases, for your weight, whatever it is, write down your top 3 reasons, put them on a piece of paper by your bed, put them on your phone, and when you have a wobble, the first thing you do is you look at those.
Yeah.
And remind yourself of those reasons, because really I can motivate people so much, but someone's got to be motivated enough themselves to make real long-term sustainable change. So you need to take some kind of, anyone needs to take some kind of responsibility for, harnessing their own motivation and working out what their motivation is, and actually thinking about it enough to write it down. So, that is a really great way to motivate yourself. Another way is to, obviously I'm going to say, sign up to my blog and get my weekly emails, because every week there'll be an email in your inbox saying with various like inspiration and motivation. But, find the support networks. So find people and surround yourself with people who do want to be healthy and do want to kind of make change in their lives. If there's someone at work who's trying to be healthy, join forces with them and do it with them for added kind of accountability and motivation. Find online communities and start kind of engaging with them and talking with like-minded people who are going to keep you motivated and keep you inspired.
Yeah, that's a big one, that last one, especially. Also, the opposite of that is worth mentioning as well, which is, get the hell away from the people who are gorging on sugar.
Yeah.
And who want you to eat it because they will not help you. And it's I think it's so important in all aspects of life to surround yourself with people that are going to be conducive to you achieving the goals that you have in your life. So yeah, that's a big one, definitely. Cool. What do you consider, Laura, is a healthy diet? I mean, in terms of if you looked at an average day, what do you think is a healthy diet?
So it's a really interesting question. And, one of the principles I work on is a thing called bio-individuality, which is that everybody is different, and actually, there isn't one diet, there isn't one healthy diet that fits all. There's not a one-size-fits-all with a healthy diet. Obviously, there is no need for anyone to have refined sugar in their diet. There's absolutely no need. Everyone could live without refined sugar in their diet. So, if there's one dietary recommendation that I would give to everybody that is a blanket one, it would be, there is no need to have refined sugar. But in terms of like a healthy diet, I would say at least, your 5 portions of vegetables a day. I actually these days aim for probably near a kind of 7, 8, 9 portions of vegetables a day.
Yeah.
So I probably eat more vegetables than the average vegetarian. And then just getting your kind of healthy sources of protein and fat in with every meal. And if you need to bridge gaps between meals, then maybe the odd snack or two, but not everybody needs a snack all the time. So just making sure you're getting lots of green in there, really varied colours, basically eating like a rainbow, and good sources of fat and protein. So me, typical diet day, I have maybe an egg-based breakfast with some vegetables, a nice salad with a source of protein, like chicken or something, and then a dinner, maybe some salmon with some broccoli and kale. That's kind of like, nice, simple, easy, healthy diet.
Yeah. Just so people don't get confused, when you say sources of fats, can you elaborate?
Yeah. So obviously fat is there's lots of confusion at the moment around the saturated fats and polyunsaturated fats and so forth. But good sources of fat that I think, you can eat are good sources of fat to kind of feed on are things like avocado, nuts, things that are wonderful sources of saturated fat. So I'm not against coconut oil. I'm not against, in moderation, full fat dairy products. I even eat some full fat cheese and yogurt, and grass fed butter, in smaller portions. As long as they're really from their natural source and they're whole foods and they're unprocessed, getting some kind of good sources of fat in your diet will help you keep full and saturated. Help you keep full and saturated.
Wrong use that word.
I think the bad sources of fat to look out for are things like margarines, sunflower oils, and any bad trans fats or any fats that have been processed into kind of processed products are just not good.
Yeah, like any kind of cakes or biscuits or anything. Yeah. It's almost, I find, because I've kind of been a anti-sugar person for a long time, and I do have a diet that's quite rich in vegetables and good fats and proteins, etc. So I find myself almost limited to 3 aisles in any given supermarket.
Yeah.
Because you realise that most, like 90% of the stuff is just utter crap, and it's quite scary when you kind of have that realisation and stuff.
Yeah.
I have some selfish questions for myself.
So
I have tea in the morning. Usually I have one cup of tea because I'm always conscious about too much caffeine and stuff for sleep.
Yeah.
And I have it when I get to work, probably around 9, half 8, something like that. And like I said, I always have to have a sugar in it because otherwise it tastes foul. So what do you advise that I do to try and fix that? Because I would like to just not do that, but I do always have that kind of craving. And yeah, go on.
Have you tried reducing your teaspoon little by little?
I haven't. Sometimes I've realised I've put in less than I like, and I can definitely taste the difference.
So could you try for a week, half a teaspoon?
Yeah, I could. All right, I'm going to do that.
As a starter.
Okay. Is there any other things you would suggest?
So how you go. The other thing you could do is play around with, obviously sugar substitutes.
Yep.
So, now, there's not one of these I really, really recommend because they're all, they've all got their different pros and cons. And again, there's loads of articles on my website. People want to find out more about them. I think I've nearly written an article on each sugar substitute. But one that you could try, which I probably would say, is stevia. So stevia is a natural sugar substitute. It's made from a leaf, a plant, and so it's kind of a natural sweetener. Now, some of the brands you buy in supermarkets, obviously, it's been processed. They've been processed to be put in that form, to be put in your tea. But they essentially are a healthier form than white refined sugar, or brown refined sugar, which is very similar to white refined sugar. But there is I have become aware recently of a product called Natvia, which is a granulated. It looks very similar to white sugar, but it's stevia. It doesn't have a funny aftertaste like other stevia products. And it's known to be very good for people who want a sugar substitute in tea and coffee.
Right.
So I would say go and check out Natvia.
Okay, cool.
As a product. They're soon stocking it in like various different places, but it's definitely one of the better, most natural, organic stevia substitutes I've found to date.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. What about raw honey?
Raw honey is a good, Raw honey is a much better sugar substitute. Obviously it's much more natural, but it is still high in fructose. It's still about 35% fructose.
Yeah.
And it's still going to potentially keep your taste buds craving that fructose.
Yeah.
but it's definitely a more natural, health beneficial thing to put in your tea if you don't mind the taste of it in your tea.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be a bit different, I suppose. Because I have a big pot of raw honey I have imported from Spain, but it lasts for ages because honey, proper raw honey, just doesn't really go off. You just leave it on the shelf and it just goes hard and
Yeah.
it might be a bit weird taking that into work, but so okay, cool. So have you got any? I just think, have you got any advice for people who are trying to lose weight? You've got like who are kind of the biggest culprits when it comes, because obviously people who are overweight or obese, they're real suckers for sugar and they've really got that addiction bad, and most of the time. Is there like some main culprits and mistakes that these people make that people could learn from?
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest things is, trying to be overly restrictive and trying to eat too little fat in your diet, and therefore you're just kind of craving something. If you're not eating any fat and everything you're eating is going to taste a bit bland and boring, and you're going to get so bored of a diet, you fall off the wagon and then go mad splurge. So actually, strategically eating fat, I think, is really important for people who want to lose weight, and managing their hunger and managing how full they feel, to really balance their blood sugar and stop them from craving, things like white bread and white carbs and sugar, which are all linked together.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would say for people who want to lose weight, really focus on bringing in some healthy fat, managing your hunger, and reducing white carb and sugar cravings as much as you can.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So how can people, well, I guess we know the website, but how else can people find out about you? I mean, you've done some stuff in the press as well, haven't you? Some PR stuff.
Yeah.
You're quite proud to mention.
So yeah, no, absolutely. So I've actually got a competition with lmagazine.com at the moment. L.com. You can win a place on my next sugar detox course starting in May.
Okay.
So if anyone wants to kind of go and enter that, they can go to luk.com. Apart from that, yeah, I've written for the Daily Mail, the Sunday Mail, featuring kind of grats. I've got a radio show called The Sugar Diaries with UK Health Radio, which is broadcast every Wednesday at 11 o'clock, 5 o'clock and 11 p.m. So people can kind of go and listen to that. But otherwise, just, head to my website. I say to people, feel free to comment on any of my blogs, and I'll always, answer any other questions that people have got. I love helping people and answering people's questions with this. I do it all day when people, as you can imagine, like I meet people day to day and they're like, what about this? What about this? And I love doing that. I am really, really passionate about it. I think it's a real stick.
Are you getting emotional?
Sorry?
Are you getting emotional?
I'm getting emotional. I am certainly getting emotional. No, but I do genuinely kind of, love it, because I feel that it's such an important thing for people to learn, and do to improve their health and to be a lot more happier. So yeah, feel free to go to my website. If you're interested in Mentor Me of Sugar, people can get in touch, about that as well, or my health coaching.
Very cool, very cool. I've learned a lot from this call, to be honest. I thought I knew a lot about diet, but there's obviously loads of stuff I know. So that's really interesting, and I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's so obvious now, especially after having this conversation. It's so obvious that sugar is really awful, and it's all around us, and it's funny that that we have to. There are services like yours out there to help coach people with sugar, because you'd think that when people know how bad it is, that they would just get off it, but it's so addictive that it's not that easy.
Yeah, so, people are in denial. They don't want. Some people, really can't face it, and I would say there are people who will be out there who will be like, I could never give up sugar, I couldn't do it, and that comes back to like the self-belief. You can do it. I actually used to think that. I used to think, oh my god, I could never give up my carrot cake. Like, no way. I love carrot cake way too much. But I somehow did it, and so I absolutely believe that anybody can do this if they want to.
Yeah, for sure, sure. Okay, so quick summary, just to people listening, to things you can do immediately to wean yourself off sugar and improve your diet. Is the fructose detox, as you said.
Yeah.
So basically, is that just eliminating all forms of sugar in over like how long period?
Yeah, so I do a 6-week program, a 6-week sugar detox.
Okay.
And there's various different stages, like each week, of what things you need to eat and what you need to not eat. But really, it's about reducing refined sugars and then reducing also natural sugars for a smaller period, and
Yeah.
then gently bringing them back in a kind of more strategic way.
Is this your mental meal sugar program
Yeah,
that helps
yeah.
with this?
So,
Okay,
but
cool.
anyone listening, I'll just say, really try to cut back on refined sugars to start with.
Okay, so refined sugars, to elaborate, could you just elaborate for people?
So anything with refined white sugar,
Yeah.
processed sugar,
Yeah, cool.
not from a natural source.
Cool. And then the other thing you mentioned is changing habits. So, just, when people are kind of doing their ritualized thing, their Saturday night out, having a few drinks, like learn how to actually practice that self-discipline of saying, no, I'm going to drink, or be strategic and drink something that has less sugar in it, or don't drink at all,
Yeah,
and
just
actually try and change that.
start trying to recognize where your strongest habits are. So, like you've told me today on this that it's in the morning with your cup of tea. That's where you're eating the sugar. Some people it's, after a meal. They always have to have something sweet after a meal. So just starting to become aware of where your really strongly ingrained sweet habits are is the best starter, and then you can start to kind of pick out some strategies of how you maybe change or deal with them.
Yeah, cool. I'm just going to go through these rapid fire quick just to wrap up. So quitting drinks, sports drinks, fruit drinks, implementing a savory breakfast, i.e. scrambled eggs, avocado, or even having last night's dinner for breakfast, which is typically, good to obviously have protein and vegetables, etc. Snacking on healthier alternatives, i.e. coconut water and just natural stuff and raw stuff without the sugar content. Get your reasons why, motivate yourself, have your objectives and goals written down so you can see them every day, I assume.
Yeah.
Get those down. It's definitely a big one. Sign up to Laura's blog immediately as the first thing you do after you listen to this, happysugarhabits.com. And find support networks, which I think is one of the big ones because it's just so important to surround yourself with like-minded people, people who want to achieve what you want to achieve. So that's big. But awesome. Okay. So, so Laura Thomas, happysugarhabits.com, mentalmealsugar.com. Check out her website when you get a moment. I was just about to say I'll be launching this podcast soon. That's a completely pointless thing to say because you'll know that because people would have accessed it anyway. I'm just talking rubbish now. Anyway, okay, cool. So, thank you very much, Laura, for your time. I appreciate it.
No problem.
And I will talk to you soon.
Yeah, talk to you soon.